Hello, everyone. This is a first. I'm going to do something of a book review, or at least a discussion about this. Basically, a few weeks back, I was on holiday in Glastonbury visiting some friends for a little camping trip. And obviously, Glastonbury is one of those places where there's plenty of mythical and magical and mystic and lots of other things that begin with M, sort of shops and places you can visit and so on. So anyway, there was one very good sort of occult magic bookshop, whatever, which happened to have a little, a mix of new and second-hand books. So this was in the second-hand section. I saw this. They had a few books on reincarnation, which I thought I fancied something on it. So this was printed back in, I mean, you can see it's, what was that, 30 shillings? So this was, I think it's from like 1970. Yeah, so first published Great Britain, 1970. Now, obviously, I can't kind of run through and tell you absolutely everything that is in here, but it basically talks about reincarnation from a European spiritualist perspective, because he actually talks in here about how British and American spiritualism actually rejects the notion of reincarnation. But I mean, what's of most interest, I think, is there's a lot of examples of children and adults who have, popped up with these memories. They've kind of gone, "Oh, mummy, I remember when I was so and so and I lived in wherever." There's quite a lot of examples of that, some more detailed than others. Some of them are actually quite hair raising. I mean, you'd kind of track down a copy yourself and read it. But they're quite intriguing. Um, it does get further on. It kind of gets into sort of karma and the sort of reasons for it. It's on about all of this, the soul's got to learn and all of that. This is where I start getting a bit more skeptical. I'm disinclined to believe that a soul would willingly choose a life of suffering in order to progress. And the argument of, well, even though the conscious soul doesn't know, the higher soul does. I don't think I'm buying that one. I don't believe that we're here necessarily to suffer. And the other problem I have with that is it's like, okay, well, what's the way out? I'm disinclined to kind of go along with the notion of, well, it's okay because in this life I'll learn the lessons and then the next life will be okay. No, I'm not buying that one. It also begs the question of, well, who's decided all of this? Who has set these goals, these targets? Who has said, well, you start here and you're going to progress to this? I mean, another aspect of it, he doesn't. The writer doesn't explicitly state that everybody reincarnates, but he does say a few times that he believes reincarnation is the rule, not the exception. That I disagree with. I actually think there are very many people out there who are not reincarnate. I mean, if you just consider the sheer number of people that exist in the world today, even if even if you were to say every soul that's ever existed was to incarnate today, that still wouldn't be enough to populate every body that is in existence. So I don't agree with that one, and I certainly think many people that you meet let's be generous and let's say that they're first timers. I'm not going to sit here and say that some people don't have souls. That's a whole other discussion. But certainly I could go with the argument of a lot of people, this is pretty their first time around, and pretty explains why they behave and think how they do. But that's kind of beyond the scope of the book. But it's very interesting. I mean, based on facts. Well, a lot of it is saying, well, in a trance medium in 19 whenever, channeled a spirit that said this. Obviously, we can offer no sort of provable explanation of what that actually is. And I say that I've seen mediums in action, in being in the same room as these people, and it's like, that ain't cold reading. This is something is going on there. Whether these people are telepathic, and they're picking up on the thoughts of their audience, or whether they're genuinely in contact with some other realm or something, I don't know. I can't answer that one. Certainly, it's not like in Peter Kay, is there a John in the audience? It's a lot more. When you see a guy, look at someone and go, so your mother's name was so and so, and she passed away recently. She was a short lady, wasn't she? And she used to say this, and she played a guitar, and blah blah blah. And the person's going, yeah. How could you possibly know that? So, yeah, there's definitely something to these people, but I mean, within the context of this, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that does get somewhat complex. So, but if you see a copy of this, it's definitely worth getting, and I recommend it. I think it's very interesting, and you can learn a lot. So, cheers, have fun.